For today's show, we are going to have a little fun and turn the tables on our On the Move host, Donna Yeager. For the past 30 years, Donna Yeager has been the producer and host for the On the Move's all-volunteer, public access television show for people with physical challenges. We thought it would be fun to have Donna's mom, Jean Yeager, talk with Donna about her many challenges and unusual experiences Donna has been through in her everyday life. We know that this is of interest to Donna's many fans and hope we answer some of their questions in the process. So please enjoy an intimate conversation with Jean and Donna Yeager.
Hi, I'm Donna Yeager with On the Move, and I'd like to welcome our guest and co-host, Jean Yeager.
Hi.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about my tumultuous years, and you could go ahead and...
I'm gonna switch the tables on Donna today. I'm gonna be the host and ask some questions and let Donna go on and tell about her ups and downs in her life. But I wanted to ask you, Donna, if what did the baby book say about when you were born? What does the baby book say?
Well, it said that I was born in the late 50s, and I had a very difficult time because the doctors weren't very helpful with telling you what was going on. And don't get so close to the table.
Donna has her little friend here tonight.
Anyway, this is Shadow.
This is Shadow.
You keep too close.
Yeah.
There we go. I don't want him to fall off the table.
Yeah,
anyway,
okay.
But the doctors literally had a tough time with lay down with oh my goodness, with the
well, the diagnosis, they never saw that there were any missing limbs, and so they never told me that there was anything different.
Yeah.
The X-ray didn't really show enough. But but the thing that I had was a virus cold, and that was the only thing that might have been unknown, and virus means unknown. So that's why we were born without upper limbs and short lower limbs, and we never questioned that. But what have people told you after you were an adult that they would accuse you of?
Well, they thought I was a thalidomide baby, which was not true because you didn't take any medication. You swear to it from this day.
Well, I can't swallow pills.
Right.
So I did not take thalidomide.
Right.
But there were a lot of people that did take that medicine in the 50s.
Right.
And the symptoms were very similar.
Right.
But the people that took the thalidomide spent a lot of money and a lot of time suing the pharmaceutical companies. And because we were not saying that anything had caused anything other than it was the will of God that something happened, and we were given a gift, the gift of your presence, and that you had a mission in life.
Right.
And your mission in life has been to inspire other people.
I like to try to educate people about people with disabilities, physical disabilities, and so I've been very thankful. You guys have been wonderful family, parents, and because we traveled a lot all over the United States, it was challenging at times for you because you had to not only take care of me, but you had to take care of my older brother and my younger sister, and that was not easy at times because you were the father as well as the mother when he was off on deployment.
Yes, Daddy was in the military.
6 months at a time.
Yeah,
so.
he'd be gone on deployments. But the Navy was wonderful, and the military was wonderful, in as much as they provided us with medical coverage. So during the time that you were growing up, we were very fortunate to have that benefit.
Right.
But what do you remember about having the sibling rivalry? And well, we won't go into that right now.
Well, we will quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk quickly about the early years, and then I'm going to kind of talk in more detail towards the end of the show. But really, literally, it was you know, legs and cast because of, you know, juggling 3 children at the same time.
I dropped Donna in the middle of the street. I fell on top of Donna and broke her good right leg. So her good right leg was in a cast, and at the same time, she had just received a trial amputee new artificial arm.
Right.
So we have a picture of her in her baby stroller with a new artificial arm and a cast on her leg.
Good boy.
So she had not only to deal with the artificial, and it was a heavy plastic arm.
Well, because they were used to working with the military men and having the prosthetic arms. So I was the first one that, you know, had a little itty-bitty prosthetic. So it wasn't easy for them to try to fit it onto me.
Yeah, they were trying to figure out what to do for a small girl, a small child. So she was 3 years old when they started fitting her with artificial limbs.
Right.
Which didn't help the curvature of the spine any.
Right, right.
And that's when the Shriners started to think about maybe helping out.
Mm-hmm. But also, when I was really young, just instead of dealing with all the weird looky-loo people in the grocery store, you covered me in a blanket, a little baby blanket, to try to protect me from the controversy and the weird comments that people would make. So I appreciated that.
She looked like a little papoose.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'd wrap her up, because in the beginning it was too hard to explain everything. So it was easier just to sort of put covers on. And she had a beautiful face. She had the prettiest little smile and curly black hair. Curly black hair.
Like my dad.
Yeah, yeah. But so it took a while before I was bold enough to. And we were actually, you were born in January. That's another reason.
Oh.
You would be wrapped up in blankets because it was cold.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And I was able to sort of get used to the fact that this is my child.
Right.
And this is her life, and we're going to do what we can.
But we lived in Kansas, and we lived in Texas, and we lived in California, then back to Virginia, and then back to California. We were all over the place. We had relatives in Chicago and Florida, and my goodness, we traveled a lot. It was just a lot of fun. So we were on the move even back then.
Just like we said, 28 years ago, we said on the move.
30 years ago. Okay. Anyway. But, well, I've been working. Anyway. Whoops. So, but I want to also say that life has been a roller coaster. It's been fun, but it's also been kind of difficult at times. And so, you know, it really helps to have your family and your friends and, you know, a big support system to kind of make it through. Get back.
Shadow wants to come and sit in your lap.
Anyway, to make it through the hard times. I actually attended 11 schools from first grade to 11th, 12th grade. And so that was kind of rough. But the...
have to make new friends everywhere you went.
Right. And I really want to emphasize that I had a situation that you know, because I was, you know, in the 60s and early 60s and
before
70s.
The ADA.
Yeah, before the ADA and before, you know, the special, you know, IEPs that are in place now for disabled children. You know, it's really important that you learn to listen to your disabled child. And this is an educational moment, because it really is important that disabled child have a safe person that they feel safe and comfortable with. And if there is a problem that disabled child says they're afraid of that person, then someone needs to listen. And I was so afraid I didn't have that. And as a result, I did not use the restroom my entire time in elementary school, junior high school, and high school, because I knew that people, including myself, were getting hurt in that scary bathroom. So, I mean, literally, I didn't drink any water or any fluids at all that entire time. And that was my way of being safe. It worked. It finally worked. But anyway, so that's my That's my teaching moment.
Well, right now, the thing is that parents didn't believe their children.
Good boys.
They thought the child was exaggerating or maybe not. They would never dream that anyone who was an aide or an attendant or a bus driver or whatever, these things have happened to many of our disabled children, and we just turned an ignorant eye and didn't think it was really happening. We thought they were exaggerating. Right. But the key really is to tell parents of a disabled child to listen.
Well, now they have background checks.
And they didn't check the criminal background check in the original.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Anyway, let's go on. We don't want to talk about that anymore. But as also, I attended a Shriners Hospital, and I mean, I attended
after the curvature started happening.
Oh yeah, the not robotic, but the prosthesis on my left shoulder caused a curvature, and so as a result of that, Shriners was trying to straighten my back, straighten the spine, and so it sounds barbaric, but they actually used a halo with 4 screws that were screwed into my skull. Very painful. Sometimes you see it on the news.
She has scars.
I have little
pinholes in her skull where the halo is.
But they literally just had the weights from weightlifters, and they would put these heavy weights on the top of the bed, yeah, and they would keep adding on a every hour basis, to straighten my spine before the spinal fusion.
Yeah, but they also put the.
I think we're going to put them on my lap, please.
Yeah, they also put the pins in your. They also put the pins on your legs.
Right.
So that they would pull.
But they tied my the lower part of the pins that were in my legs. They just tied it to the bottom of the bed, and they pulled my head.
So
with
they didn't
the weights.
pull both ends. They just pulled the head.
No, they just tied my ankles to the bed with pins. They were metal screws through my legs also. It wasn't fun. Anyway.
And unfortunately, I was in Japan with my husband.
She was out of the country.
Navy change of command. I was out of the country while they were doing these torture chambers to Donna. And I wondered why she doesn't like hospitals. Yeah.
I try to avoid them whenever possible. But also, so finally I was straightened enough with the
traction, I
torture
guess. Traction pulling
rack.
Yeah, the torture rack.
And then they did the spinal fusion, and I actually heard later on that I died during the operation. And it was kind of interesting because I knew everything that was going on. I was on a ball, and the ball was rolling gently downhill, and somehow I was able to sit on the top of this ball while I was sleeping, and it was just very soothing and doop 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 doop. And there was a light towards the in front of me, but then all of a sudden, it got harder for that ball to go uphill in the tube. But somehow I was doing it, and I was staying on the ball. It was really weird. Anyway, so finally the ball made it up and through the tunnel. I haven't told anybody this except my dad, because at the end of the tunnel was my dad's mother, who had passed away just a couple of years earlier. And she was, greeting me, and it was wonderful to see her. Wonderful, because I adored her. She was a wonderful lady, really neat lady. So it was great to see her. And she said, "Donna, I'm so happy to see you." And she gave me a big hug and a kiss. And I just felt so warm and welcomed and loved, and I wasn't afraid. I was not afraid at all. But she said, "I have good news. You're going back, because you're not going to be here until a long, long time from now, because you have work to do." So she gave me a big hug and a kiss goodbye. She said, "I'll see you later." And I literally went, I was hovering over the operating room, and I went, whoop, and went back into my body, and woke up, after the surgery. But I did hear the nurses talking right outside the door. It's like, can you believe it? She died on the table. And I thought, wow, I thought I was just dreaming that, but it really happened. And so it's pretty amazing, really, when you think about it. But like I said, I wasn't afraid at all. It was just really wonderful to come back. I'm very thankful. And then I was amazing with the recovery. I healed really well. I didn't want any medication because I get sick to my stomach. So no painkillers after the spinal fusion, after the back surgery.
There was a Harrington rod that they inserted to make it straight.
Right.
And that was like a jack.
Yeah, they had to go crank, 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 crank.
To make the back get straighter.
Yeah.
They jacked the
literally,
Harrington rod.
Because I didn't want any medication, I was able to heal quicker. And I got out of the hospital, and as they were wheeling me, we don't have this wheelchair. Anyway, we have a wheelchair there in front. Yeah. And they sat me on top of all the gifts that they gave me, because I was there at Christmas time. So they gave me Monopoly, and they gave me Chutes and Ladders, and they gave me all kinds of games. And they sat me on top of those games.
And that was on the armrest of the wheelchair.
As I was leaving. She was outside. Parents were not allowed in the hospital.
Shriners,
when I was leaving, anyway. They said, just wait outside in the lobby, and we'll bring her to you. So they had all the stuff with me ready to go after
about
6 months.
No seatbelt. She was just sitting on the top of these games.
And so there was a threshold. We have pictures of the hospital, but
the archway.
This was the old hospital. That's not there anymore. Anyways, and I was in the move from the old hospital to the new hospital too. I was in.
All the children were in gurneys going from the old hospital at Shriners on 19th Avenue in San Francisco.
Right. But anyway, so as they were pushing me out of the hospital, when I was leaving, we hit a bump. There was a threshold, and the wheelchair stayed behind the threshold, and I went, woo-hoo-hoo, went flying out of the chair, hit my head on the glass door, big 2-story, big fancy glass door, and landed right on the door. I had a huge painful bump on my head, and they picked me up and they said, don't tell anybody that happened. It's like, okay, I won't, because I wanted to get the heck out of there. I didn't want to go back in. So they put me back in the chair. They put me in the middle part of the seat, the safe part of the seat. Took those games right off of there.
And they carried the games.
Yeah, they carried the games. Another person did. Anyway, so I left the hospital, and so thankful that I was going home. But my mom will attest, I had an egg, a huge egg, on my forehead, my the other side. Anyway, it was a little bigger than an egg and a little smaller than a tennis ball. It was huge. And it just kind of grew bigger and bigger by the end of the evening.
And she could have had a concussion, but we didn't realize how serious the fall was. We didn't realize.
She
didn't want to tell us.
I didn't want to say. I didn't want to go back. So anyway, that was interesting. But then, as a result of all the moves, we left the Bay Area and moved to Virginia. And that was interesting. Same thing. In high school, I was either going to stay in a classroom with severely mentally
challenged kids.
People, or I could be on my own and not receive any assistance. So I was like, I'm fine. I'll be okay on my own.
You didn't need an attendant to get from room to room.
Same thing. I didn't drink
we
anything.
forgot to say, when you left Shriners Hospital, they also gave you a robotic arm that she could operate with her mouth. And the mouth stick would open the hand and go up and down and in and out. And the only trouble with that is Donna likes to talk. So they put the mouth controls down by her toes,
so my toes
she could operate it with her toes.
Do the switches. But it kept blowing fuses.
But it got caught in the high school door when she's going in and out of classrooms.
No, that was junior high school.
Oh, that was later?
But earlier.
Okay.
Anyway, so we'll go on to high school in Virginia. But they didn't care for me because I didn't have my math skills as advanced as they wanted them to be. So they insulted me, and the one teacher insulted me in front of the
whole class. The first day in school?
First day there. I thought I was asking a very intelligent question. Apparently not. So, if you don't know that by now, get out of my classroom. So I did. I got out. Luckily, I had a tutor through the school system, and as a result of taking the time with the wonderful, caring math teacher, I actually advanced up to geometry and chemistry, and wow, it was great. She was a wonderful, wonderful
a fast learner.
Yeah, she was impressed that I was able to learn so much in such a short amount of time. And so she caught me up. And then the hardest part was I didn't have many friends because I was bused literally about 2 hours from my high school, from where my parents lived, to the high school, because it was the only wheelchair accessible school in the whole county. And so that was difficult because there was one severely retarded person on the bus, and he was very scary. And the bus driver would encourage him to do nasty things. So that was not pleasant at all. And so I'm just very thankful that I lived through that. And then I moved to Norfolk, Virginia in my senior year, and that was even scarier. I saw a lot of shootings and stabbings.
The building itself had turrets on each corner.
Oh, it was a prison.
It looked like a prison. It was
a prison. They had security guards in those turrets. And it was a very scary school. And it was about 2.5 hours, 3 hours commute back and forth each day, each morning and afternoon. Anyway, so I survived that.
But there were kids who were having accidents and shootings and doing drugs, and they luckily let Donna skirt around.
Okay, so we're going to move on.
So she did. And she graduated with help from the janitor.
The janitor, I have pictures of the janitor. He built a ramp because the principal wanted to just give me my diploma after the ceremony. I said, I want to graduate with my class. And so the janitor built a ramp one day before the commencement ceremony. So he built it, and I drove my wheelchair up there, and I accepted my diploma. The principal wasn't happy, but
a standing ovation from the audience.
Yeah, and the poor guy was fired the next day
because he disobeyed the principal.
He was a year away from retiring. And he said, Donna, it was worth it. He said, I'm so happy you graduated with your class. Wonderful man, yeah. So anyway, that's why I'm saying it was a roller coaster ride. A lot of wonderful things happened too. So anyway, we're going to go on. And 2 weeks after I graduated from high school, I told my parents, I don't want to live in Virginia anymore. So please drive me to California. And you did, thank goodness. And so I went to college in California. I had roommates that I rented an apartment. You helped me get the apartment settled, and then you went back to Virginia. And I did quite well. And then as soon as I got the diploma, the degree, I was able to start working at Hewlett-Packard. And so that was wonderful. I really enjoyed doing that.
With the touch screen. You used the touch screen.
That's just 16 years I was at Hewlett-Packard. And during that, I had my appendix taken out, and I had, oh my goodness, all kinds of very painful operations because my bones and my structure is different. I didn't have any regular, normal ways that doctors could find a vein, so it was very difficult. I'll never bleed to death, that's for sure. But anyway, it was hard for me to.
They tried to get blood from your toes.
Operations, yeah.
And they tried the groin. They tried the heart.
Anyway,
the heart.
We're going to go on quickly here.
Anyway, you don't like doctors.
No,
you don't like hospitals.
I don't. But and I also had a hysterectomy, which was excruciatingly painful. And something happened. I don't know. But I had to heal from the outside No, from the inside out.
Oh.
So that was disgusting. But luckily, my fiance helped me out during that horrible time, and he kind of helped me through that. And
he yelled at the nurses and insisted that she get some better care.
Right. Yep. So anyway, that finally was all taken care of, and then we started working at Home Depot together, and then
you got married, though.
Yeah, we got married.
You got married.
We got married. We married for about 14 years there. Anyway, and then I also had a hernia operation that was also where I almost died up in Oregon, and he was 3 hours away, so he wasn't able to visit me. But anyway, I did. Thank goodness I survived. And then,
no thanks to the nurses.
My husband was from Germany, so he took me on all kinds of wonderful trips around Germany, and also I visited Japan, where I sang in concerts all over Japan. It was wonderful, great experiences. But anyway, and then my family has been wonderful through this whole thing, very supportive, and I'm glad that I was able to come back and kind of keep
But the military has been very helpful.
Oh, yeah.
We were very fortunate. The military were able to help us with medical care before your marriage, and you were on your own for how many years? You were married for how many years?
Well, like
13
off
years?
and on about 40 years.
Well, you were married for 13 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you had your medical coverage was from your jobs then.
Right.
So
Packard and Home Depot.
You had to fight with dentists and oh dear. Medical is just not your forte.
Oh, and Laurel Birch. Laurel Birch has been such a wonderful friend through the years, and she loved Joe too, and
Laurel Birch is a wonderful artist, and she helped you raise money for your spaghetti feed.
For my van.
To get a new van.
So I could
your
drive.
brakes went out when you were on the
Exactly.
Highway 9 coming down in California.
Oh, and the Celebration of Courage.
Yeah.
That was another wonderful experience.
Yeah.
They honored the Disabled Person of the Year awards. Laurel, that's where I met Laurel with the award.
Laurel Birch designed the award.
Right. So I want to thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. You did a beautiful job. Thank you, Mom. We'll see you later. Thank you. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, I'm Donna Yeager with On the Move. Have a great evening.
If you see us in your businesses or see us on TV, don't be surprised, because you'll see us there again
and again.
Because we're showing our abilities and building self-esteem. We're going places that we've never been.
Hey, we're on the move to make this world a better place. We're on the move, we're striking out to set the pace. We all can choose to make a difference. Our time is overdue. We collect our dreams, take them on the move. We're on the move to make this world a better place. We're on the move, we're striking out to set the pace. We all can choose to make a difference. Our time is overdue. If we collect our dreams, take them on the move. If we collect our dreams, take them on the move. So let's pick up our dreams, take them on the move.